6 automated assignments. That means every other week you're going to get an automated assignment. You have 5 programs to write. Those programs are actually very simple. I'll have given you lots of demonstrations before you ever see them, and every other week you write a program. It might only have 5 lines in it, it might have 10, it might have 15, but it's a program, okay? Those are 7 points apiece. You have 1 project at the end, and by the time that the end starts coming, you will have talked about those things, and you'll see the project is just basically taking what we've learned and building something for yourself, building a web page of some kind that you want to keep, a 3D graphics thing. I have a list of those things from the last semester and the one before. If they're still operational, which they may be, I'll give you an address so you can go to. There's probably a couple of dozen in there. What people have done for projects. Every people with different fields are quite inventive. It's quite nice. And then finally, the final exam is 25 points, and that's it. So you can see, if the final exam is 25 points, it means all the other guys have to have it at 75, which puts you well into a C, right? So you know, as I say, you can pass this course without doing the final. Don't tell anybody. I don't think that's supposed to be done, but that's the way I operate. Okay, let me get down to some things you have to know. This is important stuff that relates to doing the course. That's the website. Everything you need is on that website. There's no textbook. Okay, everything's on the website. What I do is, there's a company called Alta Vista. And Alta Vista is a web hosting company in Italy. Okay, I've used a couple of others in the past, and my point is I want you to have a place for you to put your programs so they'll be on the web. If you write them in your machine, they're not going to be on the web. They have to be uploaded to some place so everybody can look at them. In order to do that, you have to have a site. There are some groups that give you free sites. I think their idea is if they give you this free site to work in, that eventually, if you actually like their company, you'll eventually commercially, buy into it and have your own site there. This is a commercial site here. That's my site, which I have several websites, but that's one of them. And I think I pay like $100 something a year for it, something in that range. So they cost money. So you don't want to get into that if you don't have any reason to want to do that. Don't get into the pay site. So basically, you're going to go in as a free user. That's what we're going to do. Here's your computer right here. You write your program, you save it, and you run it, and you say, yeah, it works pretty good. But I can't run it because I'm somewhere else. So what you have to do is you have to upload your program to Alta Vista's site. And then, when I want to run it, I'll go to the Alta Vista site and it'll be your program. I can look at it. So you have to have space up here with these guys to take your programs and put them up there. So each person has their own space that they put their stuff in. So there's a procedure for telling those guys you want space. You just want to sign up for some space. So what you do is, I have 3 little videos, 4 short videos that, hard to explain why this for. There were 3 before, but they changed their sites, so I had to make a couple of new videos to make it work. But essentially what they do is they step by step tell you how to get your site. You go up there, you fill in this form, don't give them any personal information that, I just avoid giving them anything. Just give them what you have to, give them a name and the stuff that they basically need. You have to give them the correct email address though, because they send you a password. And so you've got to have an email address that's where they can send your password to. But don't give them your any personal information about you. That's my advice. And another thing too is they have 2 tiers of getting this service. One of them is you get a free service and everything. The other one is you get a free service and they get to advertise on your site, which means that they're going to try, just like Google, to make money on people using your site. The problem with that is that it's lovely, but the problem is they put code into our code And that's the worst thing you want to do when you're trying to learn how to program something, is have someone else's code in there confusing you. So we don't want that. So what we do is we take the free site and we don't take their advertising. I'll show you. When you watch the video, you'll see that you actually don't take the advertising. So that puts you in a position where you have a place that you can upload your stuff, and you can change it, and you can even bring stuff back down to your computer if you don't have it anymore. You can do anything you want. And they give it to you for, I think, like a period of a year. And if you don't use it, no, they'll give it to you forever. If you keep using it, they'll keep it there. If you stop using it, they'll cut you off. So in other words, if you don't go to this, if you don't upgrade the site now and then. In fact, the first one I did with them was 2 years ago, and just this week they cut. I haven't used it since. The one that one I created, and they just cut that off like last week. So it stays quite a long time without being used. Okay, so what we're going to do is this week to start off is I'm going to have you write a program right off the bat. I'm going to have you write a program and save the program, and then upload the program, and then send me an email which tells me the address of the program so I can run it by clicking on it in my email. Okay? Sounds like a lot of work, but it actually is quite straightforward. It's not too complicated. So basically, you write the program, you save it, you upload it to Alta Vista, you send me an email with that address that you're going to have for it, and what it'll do is, when I click on it, I'll get to see your program. Okay? And here's what I want your program to do. It's going to be very simple. We'll talk about writing in a second. But it's going to be very simple. It's simply going to say, this is my name, okay, and this is my UAF email, University of Alaska email address. I can't use Gmail because we might exchange, grades or something. We're supposed to exchange grades on email anyway, but we might do something that would indicate what your grade is. So therefore, I have to have an official University of Alaska email address. So if you don't have one, please get one, okay? That's alaska.edu. You have to have that. Don't write to me with your Gmail, because even if you do, if you write to me, oh, I didn't do this right, Gmail, it's got your name on it, but how do I know it's you? So, but if you've registered here and you have an email address, I'll know it's you. Okay, so be sure to do that. That's something that you have to do. All right. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go through the whole process. I'm going to show you how to do all this stuff, and then there's videos that actually show you in great detail. But one thing you have to be careful of is with me working on the board is that I might make a typo, a macro, or whatever they would call it. But basically, I'm writing stuff, and it's very myopic. I'm over here, and I'm trying to back up to see what I've written and everything. Programming, unlike math, programming's got a lot of writing to it. You can make some, I could write the wrong thing. So what I do is I demonstrate what I believe is, the correct thing. And then when you go online, you'll see the videos are clear. They're correct because I'm writing them in front of you when they're running. I know they run. A little secret I learned a long time ago: when you're learning programming, they used to take people would set type and write programs in the programming books, but they'd make typos and they wouldn't work. If they make a typo, a program doesn't work. A program is like a big password. It's like a big long password. If any letter is wrong in it, it doesn't work. So it's got to be all written very correctly. By the way, that's going to be the hardest thing that you are going to face. Most people today, and maybe they've always been like this, are used to typing stuff, and you make a mistake, you can backspace, you can do this and that, and even if it's wrong, sometimes Google corrects it, or you just leave it, in the rough. Programming doesn't like that. Programming is very punctilious. It requires you to write exactly what it wants to know because it's stupid. It's a computer. You have to tell it exactly what to do. And if you make one typo, the hardest thing is for you to find that typo because it looks perfect to you. When you send it to me, by the way, I do debug it for you. If you have a program, you've tried to debug it, you try to figure out, debug means make it work. If you can't make it work, if you just send it to me, the way you send it to me is you put it, even though it doesn't work, put it up on your site and send me the address, and I'll go into it and look at it, see what I can see. Now, I've assigned the program, so obviously I know what it's supposed to do. So I can figure out how to debug it. But that's very important. The second thing is this. When you're writing this, about the stuff I'm about to write, be sure to use a PC, using Microsoft stuff, okay? Write your stuff and don't use a Mac. If you use a Mac, it's perfectly okay. You can do it. But I have to tell you, you have to have more experience than just a beginner. Because the problem with the Mac is, it has, when you, in their editor, their word processor, so to speak, what it does is, it's very clever. It has a kind of a quote that goes this way and a kind of quote that goes that way. They're different. So in other words, what it has is characters that are not standard to regular basic text. The trouble is when the computers, when the web sees that, it looks at that stuff and doesn't know what you're talking about. In other words, if you write on the PC and you save it in Notepad, by the way, Notepad is the editor we use. I'll show you how to get all that stuff and everything. That will give you the perfect program. It absolutely as good as it gets. You save it, it will always work and never have a problem with it. Okay? I hope this overwhelm you with this stuff, but those are the ideas. So let's start off. Let's talk about writing a program and see what happens. Okay. Does everybody get that? It's on your syllabus anyway. So. Okay. What you want to do is, you want to get Notepad and Google Chrome, which we use both. Chrome is the browser to use. I don't care if you use Firefox or any other browser. If your programs run on it, it's perfectly fine. I don't really care. Presumably every program you write should run on all the browsers anyway. There is some programs that you want to use Google for, specifically because Google writes the code, and we're using their code. So therefore, you know, if you're going to make it do something weird, which we will be doing, you want to be sure that your browser will work with you, and you don't have to work against you. So Google's the optimal. It's not necessary, but it's the optimal. So I assume everyone's using Chrome. If you're not using Chrome, then you should get Chrome. It's free anyway. You should get it on your machine. And if the thing doesn't work in your browser, just try it in Chrome, see if it works, and you will. Simple as that. Okay, to begin with, here's your desktop. What I want you to do is create a folder. Call it CS101. A folder on your desktop. Everybody know how to do that? Pretty easy. You go right click and all that stuff. And you'll have a CS101 folder. And what I'd like you to do is keep all your files for this course in that folder. That'll make it so much easier. There are people who keep their pictures in one folder and their text in another folder, and they keep stuff all over the place. The problem with that is this. When you write a program and it wants a picture, you can't just put the name of the picture in there. What you got to do is you have to put the name of the picture and the pathway to the picture, which is what folder is it in someplace else. That gets to be a lot of writing, and it can cause you a lot of trouble. The ideal thing to do is you put the program and the pictures and everything in one folder, no problem. You just say the name of the picture and it comes right into your program. So in other words, that's what we're avoiding here by putting everything in one folder. So we have this folder right here, and that'll make it easy for me when I talk to you online. If we have email exchanges, I'll be able to say, look in your CS101 folder, blah blah blah, or whatever. We'll have something to talk about. Down here, this is the thing that gets all your files operational. You guys have probably used this. I'm talking about we're on System 10, right? Everybody on System 10 here? You're not? You are?
We are.
Yeah, if you're not, you still can do it. We'll talk about it afterwards. So basically what you want to do is, you want to get two icons on your desktop. You want to get Chrome up there, and you want to get Notepad up there. Okay, and all those are is pointers to your actual programs. They aren't actually the programs themselves. Okay. So what you do is you go down into here, where these things are. You find Notepad, you press on it and drag it up and let go, and you have it. It's there. Now, all it's going to do is not going to move Notepad. It's just going to give you a pointer to it, and that's all it has. So you have this and do the same thing with Chrome. So you're going to have two icons on your desktop, which are these two things here. Notepad, once it's on the desktop up here, you can actually just double-click on it, or you can put it in your bar if you want, but you just click on it to get it operational, and then you can start writing your code right in there. Okay. This thing over here is here for a different reason. I'll talk about that afterwards. But remember, I want them both up there, and there's a video that shows you how to get them up there. It's not that hard to do. Okay. And these are just shortcuts. These are not the actual programs themselves. They're just shortcuts to the programs. Okay, so let's assume you have Notepad up here. You double click on it, it opens up, and here's Notepad sitting in front of you, right here. So we're going to write our first program. So what you have to do, when you're writing a program that's going to be looked at by the web, by any of the browsers, you have to have it sandwiched in these two lines of code. First line has one of these things, which is on the lower keyboard, lower right keyboard. It's like a less than symbol. You have to have that. You have the words HTML. There it is. That's the very first line in all the programs we write. They'll always have that line. Okay. Now, I'm going to hesitate here for a second. HTML code comes in lots of variety. There's literally thousands of lines, possible lines of code, and how they're written. Okay. I'm choosing what I consider a very clean, simple version of it, because I don't want to weigh you down with worrying about things that we don't have to really worry about. At one point, and all these guys who have automatic web page design programs, the trouble with them is they're worried about whether you have an old browser or something, so they have all these little things they work out to be sure that every browser works. We don't have to worry about that. We're assuming everybody has a contemporary browser. That's it right there. That's all we have to put down. And at the very bottom of your program, you're going to put a slash that leans that way, HTML. That's the end of it. These guys are called chevrons. And what these chevrons do is they seal off these things called tags. This is called a tag right here. Anything that has these things on both sides of it is called a tag. And those tags are the things that HTML actually looks at and is concerned about. Okay, so our programs are going to have tags in them because we're using the browser, and we want the browser to do what we want it to do. So we have to put these two guys in, first thing. And all of our code goes in between. That's where we write our code, in between there. In other words, it says, okay, we're HTML, what do you want to do? And you have to write down the stuff you want to do, and that's what comes up on the web page. Whatever you want to do comes onto the web page. But it won't until you have these two guys here. Now, I'm going to leave this program just as it is. I'm going to write anything else. I'm going to say, what if I just had these two lines and nothing else? If the program runs, it's going to give me a blank page. There's nothing there. But it will run, but it's a blank page. Okay? So, let's assume that this is the whole program. Just those two lines. There's nothing else in it. So how do I save that program? What do I do to make sure that it's saved as a web program that will run on the web? How do you do that? Well, you go to save. You're in Notepad now, don't forget. You go to save, and it comes up with this spot down here that has two different layers. This is the file name, and this is the type of file right here. And they've got little arrows over here, like so. Right. Pardon me. And then above it, it's got a list of wherever you are, what the folder you're in. It tells you all that stuff. So when you do it, you're going to get something that kind of looks like this. This is my version of it. So the question is, I want to save this file. The first thing is you look up here and you say, well, where am I? You want to save it in the CS101 folder. Now you guys know how to do that. If you see CS101 there, you click it and open it, you're in the CS101. You know how to do that, right? Everybody familiar with that process. Okay, so you're in the CS101 folder. Now what you want to do is, I want to save this program in such a way that the browser will know what to do with it. It'll know it's going to run it. Okay, so here's what you do. First of all, you give it a name. Give it any name you want. Don't put funny characters in. Just use regular letters, alphabetical letters. And I'm going to call this one blank. How's that? I'm going to call my program blank. I would write it right here. And then I put a period. Then I put HTML, necessary. Be sure to put that there. So what I've done is I've created a file that is now visible to the browser. The browser will run this now when it sees it. Okay, step one. Step two, press this thing right here, and it will give you a little Venetian blind. It will go blah, 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 and click all files, all types. I think it's all types. It's either all types or all files. I'm sorry, I don't know which. It's one of the two. Notice you don't want it to be text. When this thing first opens, it will say TXT here. We don't want that because text, the browser doesn't recognize text. What it recognizes is that. So you say all files, and it will assume that that's the kind of file that you have. Now, when you say all files, whatever you put here, it will save it under that kind of file. So in other words, when you say all files, now you're ready, then you just save it. There's the save button here. Just hit the save button. It'll save it. And this program right here will be put into your notepad. It's in here now. It's in there. Okay? If you double click on that, open up your, sorry, not notepad. I'm sorry, I made a mistake there. It's in CS101. That's what we saved it in there. So you go into CS101, you see the little thing that says HTML on it, and what you'll see is an icon for Chrome in there. Okay? Double click on it, it'll come up, and it'll show you nothing. The page will open up, and double click on this program, it'll open up, but it won't show you anything. You're in the browser, but there's nothing there, because we didn't put anything in between the HTMLs. But it ran. At least then you know the thing works. Okay? And so in other words, what I'm saying is, if you do this, if you do this little process right here, you'll be able to step through it, and you'll know at least that you got that part done. That's the way to program. The way to program is do one thing at a time and test it. Do one thing at a time and test it. Keep adding on to it. If you do it all at once and the thing fails, it's just an enormous problem trying to find out where did this thing fail. So you got to keep your mind logical. There's two things to logic. One of them is the logic itself, and the other one is how you are dealing with that logic. And so that's what you want to do. That's why I said the simplest of all possible. I've never, if you've never written one of these before, you don't want to write a bunch of stuff in there and all of a sudden the thing opens up and does something weird and you say, oh, what happened? Right, what happened? If this thing doesn't open up with a blank page, you don't have much to figure out. You have to figure out, well, did I save it? Did I put this in the right place? And so forth, okay? Here's a problem that's built into, it's a problem they have, but we have to live with it. Supposing you made a mistake, and you saved this thing right here, but you left this the same text. You forgot to change it. Well, what happened is, this thing will save it, and when you look at it in this folder, it'll say blank.html.text. And it won't run. It won't run in the browser. See, so in other words, so if you try to change the name of it by getting rid of that word text, it won't work. You're completely in trouble. If I were you, I would then copy this thing, select it all and copy it, whatever the program is, and then just make a new notepad and drop it in there and save a new one with the right name. Because it will never recover from that. I don't know why, but it doesn't. You understand that? So you just can't change the name. That doesn't work. It's like taking a JPEG and trying to change it to a ping or something. It doesn't work. You can't just change the name of something. It doesn't change. Okay? So therefore, now what you have is, at this point what you've done is you created a file and saved it, and it's an HTML file, and the browser runs it, which is perfect. Okay? Now, next thing I want to do is I want to put some substance in here. If you're going to write this program, you want to send it to me, it's got to have something in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to write code in these HTML programs. So the first thing you have is you have HTML. The next thing is you put down here your HTML, slash HTML. And the next thing you want to do is, all the HTML files are broken into two parts, the head and the body. You might think somebody French invented this, huh? Okay, so you have the head. That's where the head starts right there. And then something here, whatever you're going to put in here, but then the head ends, slash head. You usually put stuff between these two, but I'm not going to put anything in here now. So as there's the head starts, head ends. And down here you have to have the same thing with the body. You have a body. Body starts, and the body ends, slash body. And .html. And there it is. That's how it normally looks. It usually starts off, it starts the head and ends the head. And then it starts the body and ends the body. Let me tell you how I deal with these two guys, why we have two things. Everything that's in the body, whoever runs your program will see that. That's what's visible to them. Whatever's in there is what they see. Stuff in the head can actually make your pictures do different things. In fact, we make three-dimensional graphics in the head. We make it do different things, but they don't see that part. All they see is the result. So in other words, this may make some changes, and then this one here shows them what the changes were. They just see the result. Okay? So for example, up here we can say, make all my text italic. So down here, if you write some text, it's going to be italic, but that's all they're going to see is italic text. They're not going to see your instruction that says make the text italic. And they're not going to see any of these things either, by the way. Those things are all invisible. The only things that are visible are whatever's between here and here, between body and slash body. Now, I'm lying to you in this sense, is because people that get really sophisticated at working with HTML, they're able to move stuff to different places, and they're able to do different things. But my thought of that is when you get into something technical that's very difficult, that's not the time to stop playing around. It's the time you want to get a job done. You want the thing to work the same way and always be consistent and constant. That constancy is what saves you. If you don't know whether you can do this or not, and you experiment and it fails, so if you're in a production line and you're doing stuff that people have to have done, you don't want to start screwing around with that. So my version of that is, these guys are very wrong. I mean, I don't care if it's the entire industry. They're very wrong to give you options just to save a control character or something. Because in the doing of that, I'm sure they have cost our society billions of dollars. It's just a dumb thing to do. Basically, every language should be consistent and constant, so when you say this word, it means this word, and that's all you have to do. You don't have to think anymore. My thought was, when they first invented this thing, the body was supposed to have all the visible stuff. If anybody made a change in that, that's their problem. So in our class, I'm following the rules. I'm saying everything in the head, you'll see, everything in the head is kind of like instructions kind of stuff for the program, telling the program what to do. And then down here, it shows you the results. So what people will see is what's down here. And that's a very important point. Okay, so, by the way, it's much easier to debug that way too. Because if the image fails somehow, if something fails, you can see whether you have all the things you wanted to have here, and then you can look up here to see if you told it to do it the right way. So you keep them separated, and there's no looking around. You have everything debugged right away. Now the question is, what do I want you to put in here? Okay, the first thing, whatever words you type in there will actually appear on the screen. So for example, if I just wrote the word hello right here, nothing else, just hello. Okay. If I took this program and I saved it, and I called it the hello program, I gave it that name instead of the other one. What happens is, if you run the program, it'll just say hello right there. That's what it does when it runs the program. In other words, that hello will come up on the screen. Because whatever's between this body and slash body, that will appear on the screen. Okay? Now, there's some other little details about this I'll talk to you about later, about spacing and everything. We don't care about that yet. That's a simple program. Now what I want you to do is notice something very weird. Supposing I said down here, my name is Joe Dart. Okay? Supposing I wrote that right there. I wrote this program, and I ran it. Here's what it would do, and it's actually kind of freaky, but I'll tell you why it did it that. It would say hello, and right against it, it would say, my name is Joe Dart. In other words, there'd be no carriage return here, there'd be no return. It would just keep going right across. Even if I hit a return after hello and save it, it won't see it. It doesn't see it. And that is the reason why we have these little, that's why this came into being in the first place. They had different computers. They had compact computers and IBM computers, and they had all kinds of computers. And what would happen is someone would create some kind of document. They put it up on the web, and then someone with a different kind of computer would look at it, and it would do something dumb like this. The reason why is because the carriage returns code in the computer, or one computer, was different than another. They weren't the same. So this guy writes it, hits a return, that character goes up with the program, but when it goes to the other guy, his computer sees that return and doesn't see it as a return. He says, I don't know what that is, and he just keeps writing right across the thing. That's why they had to create these things right here, because the computers didn't talk to each other correctly. So what they did is they had to invent a carriage return that you actually write into the program that causes it to return automatically. And here's what it is. They have a chevron just like this because it's a code, and they write the letters BR for line break right there. That is a carriage return, and it has to be written right into the code or it won't work. Now, when the person sees the page, they don't see that. What they see is this. Hello, and then my name is Joe. So essentially what happens is, without that, it'll jam together. With that, it does it correctly. Okay? Does that kind of make sense to you? And I gave you the history of it, but that's the idea. In order to get something to go. Now, if you were to keep typing, supposing I just kept typing, blah, 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 you know, right off the edge, it will automatically wrap then. It will wrap then. So if I just kept typing blah, 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 it'll wrap and come over here, because what else can it do? So they have it set up to wrap automatically. But it doesn't do it for a short line. If you wrote just a couple of words and assumed it won't carriage return, you've got to put that in there. So no matter what you type, even after this one, my name is Joe, even after this one, I have to put a BR to get it to go back, and then I can write some more stuff down here. Okay? What I want you to do is, let me see what order I put these in. I want to be sure I say the same order as I wrote them in. Hang on a second. My name is Joe. Okay. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. I'm going to write the program exactly as you should write it. Okay, first of all, when you open up Notepad, you're going to say head. Then you're going to say, I'm sorry, I'm bleeding you off already, HTML, sorry. And then head. And then slash head. By the way, if these aren't in here, they'll still work. I just want you to get used to it because we're going to be doing so much. Best to do it consistently. Then you're going to say body. Then you're going to say hello. You're going to put VR. Then you're going to say my name is colon. Put your own name in. Don't put my name there. Put your name in there, okay? My email address is...
You have to put a BR then after.
Thank you. You are a genius. Who said that? Okay, there is my email address is...
Will it recognize colons as being what they are in that case?
It does, yeah. Yeah.
It's not telling it to do something, okay.
Yeah. You know, I'll tell you something else too. I have to do this myself sometimes. Sometimes I'll actually type something and I'll run it just to see if it sees it or not. Because it does do funny things. Yeah, it does do funny things. Depends on what that colon's fine now. Okay, so my address is, okay, JJ Dart. Give me the entire thing, your entire email address at alaska.edu, okay? You can put one at the end here, BR or not, as many difference. There's no more stuff, so it doesn't make any difference at that point. Slash body, slash HTML. And there it is. That's the whole program right here. Step number one is to write that program. Run it in your own machine, see if it works, see if it does what you want it to do, and if it does, we're ready to go. Now, I'll tell you why I'm doing this. The reason why I'm doing it is because I need your Alaska email address because I create a database for you where your grades and everything go. Okay, and I base it on who actually comes to class and who actually does it. So what I need to do is I need to have your name and address so I can put it into my database, and then I'll be able to, do all the things I told you I was going to do. Question? A little bit louder, sorry.
At the end of the email, do we have to do the tag in VR?
The tag, the word tag isn't here. That was left over from when I said these are called tags.
Like the
Oh,
VR?
this thing, this is what you do here. It's exactly like that. What, is there anything that is you? You have to have these, yeah. Exactly the same as before. You have to start with that, end with that. You have to start the head, end the head. Start the body, end the body. Those are the tag things, and the VRs. Those are tag things also. Okay. Like I say, there's a lot of variations here. I'm giving you the one version, one simple version of the thing, and that should work. Okay. Now, after you run a program and you know it works, now you want to do is you want to put it up on the web. Step number one is to get the website. We got to go to Alta Vista and say, give us a website. Okay. So, what I want you to do for that part of it, I want you to go to Dartworks, and there's 4 programs there, 4 videos. Run the videos one at a time, look at them, and they'll show you how to get set up and how to do things. And they'll show you how to connect up to Alta Vista. They'll show you where the form is, fill in the form. Now, you have to think about this. Alta Vista is, what they do is like all those companies, when you do something with them, they remember you. They don't forget who you are. And that's because they dropped a cookie someplace in your machine somewhere. So, what happens is, the year before last, or whatever year it was, I made a video showing people how to do this process. And I made 3 videos to show how it was done. In order to show it again, I had to get a new account at Alta Vista. So I gave them a new address. I invented it. I went to Gmail and got a new address, and I gave it to them. But then Alta Vista saw that I was I had a cookie already from my previous one, and they wouldn't give me a new site. So halfway through the video, it failed on me. So I had to go back and start over again. It was quite an ordeal. Well, I'll give you my problems. If you look at this thing, it's going to be 4 programs. The first 2 programs, I type in my address is a certain thing. In the last program, or the second and the last program, I think in other words, it's writing a different address. Ignore that. Pretend that it's the same one. In other words, if I say my address is Joe Dart CS101, and that down here it says CS101 Joe Dart, don't ignore that. That's because I had to do it twice to get what they needed. But essentially, the process is still the same. You'll see, in other words, this won't confuse you if you just simply say, okay, ignore what I call myself, assume I call myself something, and make it work. And if you have any trouble with it, just email me and we'll work it out. And that'll do it. Then what happens is after you get Alta Vista, you go to your Alta Vista site, there's a button that says upload. It'll show you your CS101 folder. You click on this thing that you want to upload and say upload that, and it'll bring it up there for you. Then you'll be able to run the program. So let's actually step through that. I'm not going to tell you about how to make your Alta Vista site, because I have videos do that for you. You have to actually details. You have to have details. But let me show you what the procedure is, how it kind of looks, how it'll work. You took this program and you saved it. It's in your CS101 folder, and it's waiting there. Okay. You run it. You run it in your machine, and it runs perfectly. It does exactly what you want.
Could you explain how to run it again just one more time?
What?
Could you explain how to run it again just one more time? You said...
No, I say you just run it just to be sure you know it runs.
Well, no, I get that, but I don't know how to do that.
How to run it?
Yes.
It's in your CS101 folder.
Okay.
Double click on it.
That's it? Sweet.
Because it has the HTML, it'll run
got
your browser.
it. Okay. All right.
It's like any program you run, just runs that way.
Because of the way I saved it, right?
Yeah, because of the HTML part. Right? It's like a JPEG picture. You click on it twice, it shows you a picture. It does it automatically.
That makes sense.
Now, this does not work like that in a Macintosh. A little different there. But anyway, I'll get back to that. So, here we go. You start off, you create this program, and let's call it first. I'll call it first program. My first program. You call it that. Suppose this is the name you give it. You can give it any name you want to. My first program.html. It contains the thing that I just erased. It contains all that stuff. Now it's ready to go. Now you want to do is you want to put it up on Alta Vista. Well, you go to Alta Vista, after you set up your site, go to Alta Vista, go to your site, it'll give you a password and everything, go in there, and it shows you online how to do that. Then you click on upload, and then it'll say, what do you want to upload? And you have to go through, it's going to give you a screen like this, a screen like that, you have to go through it to find out your CS. No, it's Alta Vista comes down to your machine and looks for where your stuff is. You click on the program you want to send up there, which is this one. You say upload, and it uploads it. Then it's up there. Now Alta Vista has it. And now the question is, let's say you created your Alta Vista site, and it looked like this. Let's say you called it Joe CS101. Suppose that's the name you gave your site. You can give it anything you want, but that's the name you gave it, okay? To get this to actually run in the browser, this thing right here to run in the browser, what you have to do is you have to say HTTP : that thing right there, .altavista.org. Vista.org. Be careful, as I say, be sure you look these things up before you do them. If I miswrite something, it's going to be hell for you. But it's approximately that. That's what it so in other words, this will get you to the site. Now the question is, how do you get this program open? You put a slash, you put the name of the program. .html. That's all there is to it. In other words, this is the site, slash, there's the program. And when you put that into a browser, your browser will open up and it will say, hello, my name is so-and-so, my email address is so-and-so. Once that works, and you know it works, you actually tried it online, you know it works, then you simply send this to me. Copy this name right here, the entire name. Put it in
URL, you mean, right?
Yeah. And said, yeah, this thing right here, copy this out of your browser, just copy that top line. Send an email, copy this in, sure. What's the word I'm looking for?
Cut and paste?
Paste, that's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so you want to paste it in, and then what happens is you send it to me, and I'll be able to click on it, and it'll run your program. That's all there is to it. Okay, does it sound clear?
So when you say program, it says it brings that up as a web page, which just says, hello, my email is whatever it is.
Yeah, well, I don't want you to, well, that's true, but some people have been using Gmail, for example. And even if they send us the Gmail, I'll still be able to see their official address. No, I want people to tell me what their Alaska address is. I don't care how they send it to me.
Right.
A lot of people have several Gmail addresses. I mean, that's the way it turns out to be. Okay, so, question.
Yeah, is all the code case sensitive?
One more time.
Is all the code case sensitive?
That's a good question. These guys, strangely, this is one of these options I wish they had given us, that you can make these upper or lowercase. It turns out to be true. Okay, but if I were you, I would, whatever one you use that works, stick with it. If you use upper all the time, use upper all the time. Lower, use lower all the time. Because in our programming language, JavaScript, it does make a big difference. Okay, it makes a difference whether it's upper or lower case. So you can changes everything. So if I were you, I'm just going to tell you, use uppercase for everything. Okay, keep it simple for us. I say, is that true? HTML now. Use lowercase. Use lowercase. It's too much of a pain to hold on to the thing. Yeah. Okay. Lowercase is good. And don't forget that slash right there. The slash right here is the one that leads that way. Okay. That's it. What do you think? You guys, can you handle that? Or? Okay. Then that's about it for that. And go online, and there's 4 videos there. Watch them and see how it works out. See you next time.